challenges that you see with the adaptation of a platform that involves intelligence as in infrastructure?
Um, the main challenge is the human challenge, which is either born out of ignorance or arrogance. And both are equally destructive, right? The first one, which is the resistance born out of arrogance, is a very difficult one to address, because this is the inclusive audience in the systems who are privileged, who have an education, who have some amount of wealth. And when they show resistance, it is never a overt resistance, it's always a covert resistance. So you need to surface that resistance and move them into understanding why they need to transform. But then again, there is a majority, for example, of non-inclusive people, who are poor, who are unprivileged, who do not have the opportunities, okay, or simply have frittered away their advantages, and they are more, and they need to be included into the systems, into the societal systems,
right.
And they have to be able, they have to get the necessary opportunities, because they have a right to live too, whether it is race, whether it is religion, whether it is gender, sexual preference. I'm talking about, so it is not enough to tokenize them and tokenize them with just diversity. Schemes are not enough. We need systems. You don't need government schemes, you don't need government quotas, you don't need, and it's not an agenda of a few non-governmental organizations. It must become a centric, diversity should be something that we believe in engagement and experience in our everyday lives. And they must be systematized, because then there is no interpretation of who does what. So the main challenge that we see is, we have been talking about this, and it has been convenient for our societies to actually continue to tokenize them and somehow lead our lives as though it doesn't matter to us. The idea is, somebody not speaking English in India. Okay, English is a language. Okay, you should be perfectly okay to express your talent without having to speak English. You should be perfectly okay to express your talent if you're a transgender, right? So we basically go down to that part of human ecosystem, the connection between a human and another human being, based on the merit and not on anything else. We're not talking about incremental change, we're talking about transformation, which means the past does not remain the past in the future.
Yeah.
There is no new normal, which means that you signify the life we have led up to this point in time as normal. It doesn't exist. It won't exist.
Right.
Right? There is going to be something new, and you have to be prepared for that. And that preparation is a journey with every single one of us. Right? And we take this through the process of education, which is both formal and non-formal content. And the formal and non-formal content, when you adapt it and you work on it, it becomes your own. That is ownership. That ownership, when you experience it and you feel joy and you feel outcomes, that changes and transforms your life. What do? You go and shout from the rooftops, right? This has changed my life. You go to the people that you care and say, you must try it. That becomes institutionalization. So this three-step process of education, ownership, institutionalization is basically what we have adapted. And every single enterprise and human being needs to adapt in building this transformation journey. There is no abracadabra. This is not going to happen overnight.
Of course.
Right? But we have a requirement. The transformation, the change around us is so fast and so quick that we have to increase our rate of adaptation. So this process of education, ownership, and commitment is basically what we are taking, in the process of being able to move our societies from the status quo to a desired state. And that desired state has to be aspirational. It cannot be on your needs and wants. So if it continues to be on the needs and wants, it is as you basically have a credit limit and you keep exhausting it, and you just keep paying the minimum balance. So this is what, there is no growth, right? We need to grow, and that is basically what the platform of Giggr tries to address. We live in a global world, 1.0, basically connected systems, information systems, or data systems. The Web 2.0 went into commercials. So we have lived for the last 20 years, commercializing everything. So commercialization is nothing but a process of selling and buying. And life is a lot more than selling and buying, right? And it is no surprise that enterprises have dominated Web 2.0. Now it has to move into the Web 3.0, which is a human ecosystem. And this is what I mean by that shift in power from enterprises to individuals. Make no mistake, it's people still who inhabit enterprise. But because it is controlled by a few powerful, they run enterprises which basically are driven by financial ecosystems,
right,
and not by human ecosystems, right? When you say financial ecosystems, when you say enterprise, it means that they are focusing on product life cycles. Now that has to shift to human life cycle, right? And of course, product will fit into that human life cycle. So you can't create a product and then force it through advertising and promotions and then make people buy it. We need to be able to re-evaluate how our society balances. And this is again a matter of culture. How do we evolve as a better culture? How do we create sustainability in terms of the way we live? In terms of the higher quality of living, right? So this is what is required in terms of education, ownership, and commitment, is all moving towards your ability to think and act in a way in which you can contribute to a higher quality of living. It does not matter what work you do. Significantly, every piece of work can contribute to that higher quality of living.